What the world? Oh, man!
SHW. This is our wrestling.
Unbelievable.
You think you could walk all over me, but I don't see that happening. We're warriors.
We told you anybody could show up here tonight. This crowd is going ballistic. You can get dog collar now, just choking Huckabee. Ashton Starr, your new #1 contender. The Lynch Mob are your first ever SHW Tag Team Champions. You're kidding me. Logan Creed is in the action building. Unbelievable. I can't believe what we saw here tonight, folks. I mean, this is insane.
And now, the voices of Southern Honor Wrestling, Brandon Benefield and Gerard Bonner.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to SHW. This is Our Wrestling. We are the official podcast of Southern Honor Wrestling. It's me, Brandon Benefield, a.k.a. B-Double, if you will, alongside my broadcast partner, GB, Gerard Bonner. What's up, buddy?
Man, what's up? The countdown is on. 1 week, 7 whole days. It sounds like a Tony Braxton song. 7 whole days until we are back with the SHW faithful, back to Southern Honor. I got to tell you, I know right now there's a lot of controversy about when the kids go back to school and in-person learning. And listen, I feel like it's the first day of school and we are counting down. And I'm super hyped to be with you, the action building next week. It's going to be crazy.
I can't wait. And I got to be honest, I don't know what I'm more excited about, the fact that we're returning the 28th for the RumbleJack or the fact that by the 28th, we'll stop seeing Daryl's posts about Hold My Beer Hansen. They're daily posts about these Hansen facts. And I'm like, okay.
I messed up one day and actually responded to one of them and then got myself caught into a conversation. And I was like, I don't have the energy for this. Like I told you guys, was it 2-3 weeks ago when he hacked our podcast? Like that's enough for me. I'm good. So God forbid, I'm pretty sure if he was crazy enough to try to hack our podcast, he might be crazy enough to get in line and buy a ticket if he hasn't been announced. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know this. I don't want him in the action building. It's that simple. It's that simple. I don't want him. But now here's the flip side to it. If he's not in the action building, Daryl, I'm sure, will have a scathing post the next day about why didn't he come to the action building, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't know. All I know is I'm just going to be glad to be in the action building with you, with the SHW faithful. I found myself really missing wrestling a lot. Like, it's just, man, we got to be there. So I'm pumped. I'm really pumped.
Yeah, same here, man, as far as missing it goes, because like I told you over the last couple of weeks, I went to a Southern Fried show. I went to a WrestleMerica show down in Barnesville. So I've been to a couple of live events, and it just that little bit of taste. And I was like, oh, man, now I really can't wait until the 28th. Now, you talk about people being announced, Hansen, whether or not he's announced or not. Well, we did have an announcement, or 3 announcements this week of new entrants that we have found out about. Let's see. One of them is one half of Not Yet Rated. That's Eric Kingsley. Jordan Kingsley will be in the RumbleJack match. Of course, our savior, I guess maybe the savior, David Ali.
I don't know. He's gone through a lot during this pandemic. So
we'll see.
Maybe he's saving us. Maybe he's not. I don't know.
We'll see. And then, of course, 1/3 of Lethal Poison, Brady Pierce will be in the RumbleJack match. He'll also be competing in the Tag Team Championship match earlier in the night. So he'll be pulling double duty there. But the biggest announcement that we heard about was a little bit of change in the card.
Yes.
So originally, Lee Johnson was going to be on the card facing AC Mack in a singles match. And of course, due to circumstances beyond our control, Lee will be unable to attend the event. But we found out his replacement will be a highly decorated Georgia indie wrestler that is a big deal, especially in the Southeast and in the Georgia indie scene. He was a surprise entrant in last year's RumbleJack. And I'm talking about the one and only Chip Day. So
Yeah.
Chip Day will be taking Lee's place in that singles match. And to my knowledge, the same stipulation applies.
Yeah, this has potential to be very, very interesting. AC Mack, of course, former SHW champion. Chip Day, an Atlanta wrestling legend, really a Southeast rather, wrestling legend. All sorts of things could potentially happen. I mean, you could imagine AC Mack having even more inspiration to want to win that particular match. But so does Chip Day. I mean, let's think about it. Chip Day has wrestled all over the Southeast, but has never held gold in SHW. So I think we got something interesting brewing, and this gets very interesting for next week's show.
Yeah, and like I said, the same stipulation applies. So in that singles match, the winner will be the final entrant in the RumbleJack. The loser will have to be the first entrant in the RumbleJack match. So AC Max got his work cut out for him. Now Chip Day, like we said, he's been all over the place in the Southeast. He's a big deal, and he's also got a bit of history with several people on the SHW roster. So there is some backstory there with several members of the roster that could be interesting no matter what number he enters into the RumbleJack match. So it's going to be exciting, and your guess is as good as mine, but
I'll tell you what, he'll either be first or he'll be last, and either have a chance to run into some old friends, or maybe he's there when they're all gone. I don't know, but I'm pretty certain we'll get into that heavily in terms of the people he connected with next week, as we are completely live from the Action Building for our pre-show / This Is Our Wrestling podcast. So that should be a lot of fun. If you're not going to be in the Action Building, well, even if you are, pull up your phone and connect. It's going to be crazy. Next week's show will be nuts, but we got a good show lined up for this week.
That's right. We're going to be talking about the RumbleJack, of course, kind of doing a little bit of a preview pick'em show here tonight. And we brought in our very lovely ring announcer herself. I'm talking about Diana Michel. She's going to come on with us in just a minute. And we're going to kind of run through the card, kind of give our thoughts on who might win what match, who might be the winner of the RumbleJack overall. So we're going to talk about all that good stuff. And, of course, learn a little bit about Diana Michel herself. And she's going to join us right now. Check it out. Diana Michel.
All right, guys, we've got another great interview lined up as we're getting ready for the RumbleJack, which is next week. We decided to have on one of our favorite people who we've not had the privilege of seeing since the pandemic. She's one of our favorites. She's one of our partners in crime, and we miss her so much. She is the official ring announcer for Southern Honor Wrestling. Make some noise, everybody, for our good friend Diana Michel. Diana, how are you?
I'm so good. It's so good to see you guys. I missed you. I could just squeeze you.
Listen, we have missed you tremendously. It is crazy. Oh my gosh.
Ever. I'm so ready to see you.
Yeah, same here. So how have you been doing during this pandemic? I mean, it's been really crazy for a lot of us. How's it been for you?
It's actually, I can't complain, and I won't. But I had a job previously where I was never home.
Okay.
Never home. I worked 10 hours a day. I worked an hour away, so I was always driving. So that's, I was home to eat, sleep, bathe, get up, and go again. So
yeah.
Through all this, I kind of got cut from my job, and I wasn't mad. I wasn't mad about it at all.
Okay.
At all. So I had 4 months of nothing.
Wow.
Looking for a job, but still getting like severance pay and whatever.
Yeah.
Never had that unemployment thing kick in until like at the very end.
Okay.
But just to be able to enjoy my house, enjoy the weather we were having at that time, because it was awesome.
Yeah.
And be home with my kid, and I picked up learning Spanish, and
Nice.
I got a long way to go, but I was able to enjoy just not having to go to work.
Well, that's
so
not
I can't
a bad
complain.
thing.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
So recently I did, though. I got a new job, so I'm excited, and it's in town, so I don't have to drive so far, and it's banker hours, so it's great.
Nice. Yeah.
I've scored, so I can't complain at all.
Awesome.
At all.
Awesome.
So real quick, what I gathered from that is that if we ever do branch out and we end up having a Spanish announce team at SHW, I guess Diana Michel would be part of that as well as ring announcing. Is that what I'm gathering?
We'll be learning. Give me some key phrases. I might can throw something in, but I'm still learning some of that stuff. But
Dios
it's
mío!
not,
Right. So
it's not easy. There's a different phrase for everything. I mean, there's so much to learn, but I mean, I enjoy it because it's such a beautiful language, and just to hear them go off is crazy. I love it.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I think for a lot of people, folks have been just trying to survive this element. And then there are others who have picked up new skills and new opportunities and things like that. So that's really cool to see that you've picked up this new language and things like that, which I think is awesome.
It was either watch Netflix all day or learn something.
Fair enough.
I'm not much on a watching a TV kind of thing, so I spent so much time on this porch in this chair the first couple of weeks. It was like, man, screw work. I'm not ever going back. I'm good.
I understand.
You know, I figured out how to cook again because I never had time.
Awesome. Oh my
so,
gosh.
I mean, I can't complain. It's been rough for some people, but I can't say that I've hated it.
Understood.
I've just hated missing you guys.
Yeah.
Right?
And we have missed you tremendously.
Wrestling, man. We got to have that.
Absolutely. Absolutely, we do. So tell us this, because the Southern Honor fans really first got acclimated with you December, January or so, as you took that position. How did you end up getting connected on the ring announcer side of things?
Oh, wow. Maybe I'm going to go back, probably earlier part of last year. Huck actually contacted me and said, hey, they're looking for someone to do some interviews in the back. And I had done stuff like that with National Syndicate Wrestling, where I met Huckabee.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry you had to go through that with Huckabee.
Oh, we had some powwows, but you know, God love him. After he told me that, I was like, well, where is it? You know, and he told me Canton, and I'll get my Google Maps. I'm thinking 4 hours.
Wow.
Still new to this. I don't know if I can do 4 hours on a Friday. I have a job. So I just kind of, you know, brushed it off a little bit. And then maybe October, he said, hey, Gary's looking for an announcer. And I was like, man. And then I started hearing more and more about Southern Honor and what it was, how it was, the production of it. And I'm thinking, okay. So I messaged Gary. Cold shoulder. I got the cold shoulder from Gary.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
So, I mean, nothing. And next thing I know, you know, Huckabee's calling me or texting me, and he's like, you know, you need to talk to Gary. And I'm like, okay. So, I mean, he finally got back to me, and I was just like, okay, this might work. So he says, come to the show in December. And, you know, I find out what kind of look he's going for, because I like to know what the booker and the promoter is expecting.
First of all, what you ended up wearing is what I normally would have worn, but they said you were coming in, so I had to change my look.
Dang, I would have totally backed down for that. I would have loved to have seen it.
It's okay, because you pull it off way better, so it's all good. It's all good.
Well, I do love leather. I can't tell you. I mean, it's hot during the summer, but I love to wear it. So, he, you know, we kind of talked, and then I picked Huckabee up on the way, and we were talking, and I was nervous and crazy. Got there, and I don't know. It's like I was supposed to do 1 match, and then I wound up doing 2 matches, and somehow in the middle of it all of the show, Gary was like, "You're an announcer," and I don't know if he really meant it to be that way, but it kind of went out that way, and I was just like, hey, hello, I'm here. So, I mean, it's been great. I look forward to it every month. It's one of the best shows.
I did not realize you were 4 hours away.
I'm in Dublin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
Drive. Well, it may not be 4. Traffic is 4.
Yeah.
It's 4.
Gerard knows all about that traffic.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, it is.
I have to like pick and choose what time I'm going to leave so I can bypass it, and I hate that. I'm not very good in traffic. I mean, I get really.
No, I get it, especially
around
traffic.
people.
Let's go back a little ways. Like, when did you, as far as like being a wrestling fan, because like me and GB say it all the time, like we started out as fans before we ever. Yeah. So yeah, like when, what's your earliest memories of watching wrestling? Who were some of your favorites early on? 9
or 10 years old, maybe.
Wow.
I don't know what got me into it. I'm the only girl of brothers. cousins, really. I mean, I'm the oldest girl, not the only girl, but grew up with a bunch of boys.
Right.
Everybody in my neighborhood, boys. So I was the tomboy. So whatever my brothers watched, I pretty much had to watch or I got beat up. So until I beat them up back. But somehow I just remember the blue mat at NWA. I was an NWA fan.
Yeah.
I can hear the sound of that ring, the little bit of crowd of fans that were there. Tony Schiavone,
Yeah.
I love him. I
Yeah.
love him.
Yeah.
His voice
Yeah.
takes me back. So my favorites ever, though, when I first remember, was probably the Starcade of '85 or '86.
Okay.
And my mom, it was like my birthday was coming up, and she was like, well, which Barbies do you want? And I was like, I don't even like Barbies. I would probably throw them off the top of a building, right?
Hilarious.
And I was like, can I please have Great American Bash on video? Because they were advertising it, whatever. I was like, I want the Great American Bash. She didn't buy it, but she knew somebody who had it, and so she had it recorded. So I had the VHS recording of American Bash. And I wore it out. Wore it out. I loved Rock and Roll Express. They were my favorites of all time.
Yeah.
I loved to hate the Four Horsemen, but they were favorites because I loved to hate them. I remember the I Quit match with Magnum and Tully, the blood and the wooden chair and the poking in the face and all that. Ugh. That's just it takes me back.
I love it.
I love that. And I've just been a fan ever since. And all the way to wrestling with my brothers in the living room and breaking stuff and getting in trouble. And,
Well, how cool was it seeing on the recent episode of Dynamite? Was it last week when they had the Rock and Roll Express and Arn and Tully both in the ring together?
When I saw them announce that, I freaking jumped up in the air. My little boy was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Rock and Roll's gonna be on TV," and I just I love it.
With Tony Schiavone on commentary.
Right.
They gave me chills. I love him so much.
Yeah.
Y'all just don't know.
No. I get it. Tony Schiavone was really the guy who kind of, when you heard his voice, you knew something major was happening. And so it's so wild now to hear him and JR handling AEW. It's such a throwback.
I love it.
The first Dynamite show that aired, I was in the kitchen.
Okay.
And I was going to flip back and forth between, NXT and Dynamite. And I was like stirring up some noodles or something. And I heard Tony and Jim speak, and I was like, game over. I'm not changing my channel. The war is on. I'm watching these guys because that's my boys. I love it.
I love it. I love it.
Forever.
So when was your first time actually ring announcing? When did that happen?
Let's see, I would say I was approached by a promoter.
Okay.
I was at a show in Columbus. Just in the crowd.
Okay.
In the crowd. The match that was going on actually wound up being in the crowd. The BJ Darden, I think, and Matt Gilbert, I believe it was.
Okay.
BJ put Matt in the chair beside me and started smacking him. He kind of like, tell the girl hello, be nice to the, and I was just like, get away from me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, that got on video. The promoter was Rico Rodriguez, and I don't know how he found me. I've still got to figure that out. But he contacted me through Instagram, and he said, hey, we're looking for this, looking for that. Are you interested? And I was like, heck no. That is not my thing. I don't talk on a microphone. I'll sing in a minute, but I will not say a word on a microphone. I can't do it. I just get nervous. I can't do it. So a few months went by, and I was like, I really want to do that. I mean, that would be so much fun.
Yeah.
So I texted him back, and I was like, when's the show? And he said, like, April, I think, of 2018, maybe. So I've only been in it 2 years, maybe 2018. No, 2 years.
Okay. Wow.
That was April, and I started as like interviewing for the TV show they had going on there. And then he got sick and he couldn't announce, so they threw me in, and I was like, my first interview in the ring was with Mike Payne, and he had that mask with the spikes on it, and nobody told me that he didn't talk. Nobody told me that I was going to interview this monster Payne that didn't speak.
Wow.
Didn't do promos, and I'm like standing there trying to talk to him, and he's whispering through his mask. I don't say nothing. I'm like, what am I doing? But that was quite an experience. But it just rolled from there. I went and did a lot of backstage stuff, but then Larry Otto Pro called me and they wanted me to do announcing. And my first real announcing show, Robert Gibson was on the show, and you already know.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my junk. Eddie Long was there, Robert Gibson was there, and
Holla,
I
holla,
was
holla,
on
holla,
cloud
holla.
9. I was like, I get to
Wow.
announce Robert Gibson
Wow.
in front of my brother, mind you, because it was at my hometown in my home high school. So I mean, that was amazing.
Well, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but last year he showed up at the RumbleJack, Robert Gibson. He actually was in the match. He was eliminated by none other than the real mean girl, Danny Jordan.
Of course.
But you just never know who's going to show up in SHW. And so I'm not saying that's going to happen again this year, but you just never know. So
Well, if
who
you see
knows?
me squealing like a little fangirl over in the corner, you'll know why.
There you go.
That makes sense.
Seriously.
Yeah. Well, this could be a good segue because, we've got the RumbleJack coming up next week. And so it's probably a good time for us to kind of start sharing our predictions because a lot has changed since last year. But one thing is for certain that the winner of the RumbleJack will get a shot at the SHW championship. And that's going to be a really, really big deal. So B-Dub, you want to start running through the card and we can start throwing out our predictions and things.
Let's go through some of the other matches that will lead into the RumbleJack match. So don't forget, we of course have the big title match, which is going to be the SHW champion Corey Hollis defending against #1 contender Ashton Starr. And here's what I'm wondering. And it depends. We haven't seen what the layout of the card is going to be yet. If this match takes place before the RumbleJack match, I'm thinking that whoever ends up losing the match could possibly jump into the RumbleJack and try to regain another shot at the title. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens. But who do you guys think between Corey Hollis and Ashton Starr? Who's your pick?
Diana, you're first.
That cage match was pretty off the chain.
It was.
I mean, Ashton really gave it his all, and I'm thinking. I mean, with Corey without his guys, I mean, is he as intimidating as he is with the guys?
Exactly.
I mean,
good point.
I don't know. I think I'm gonna lean to Ashton on this one.
Okay.
I think it's his time.
All right.
It's funny. Corey, of course, won the RumbleJack last year. He's the
in controversial fashion, mind you.
And again, to your point, Diana, everything he's done successfully has been with Lethal Poison in some way, having something to do with it. Even him winning the championship back from Ashton back in it was really that whole night was nuts. But him winning the title back was because of interference from them.
It was an emotional.
Oh gosh, that night.
I mean, I felt so bad.
I did too.
I was all.
Yeah.
Gerard and I went from like the highest high we've ever been on commentary when he won the initial match to literally like deflated. Just like all the audience was deflated.
Like, what do you say? Well, I mean, it's like, what happened? What just happened?
It's like Hollywood. It's like Hollywood NWO, Hollywood Hogan NWO, like just pulling out all the dirty tricks and getting out on top, and you're like,
yeah. So I mean, I definitely think if Corey doesn't have Lethal Poison, Corey is not Corey. So I think Ashton Starr. And couple that with we're coming back from this pandemic. Yeah. Everybody's on something new right now. I think it's going to be time for Ashton to really get a shot.
And he's been working on his physique.
He has been
really killing it.
He's been putting work in. So I think Ashton Starr has a chance to become the SHW champion.
Yeah.
So much like you guys are alluding to, like, in my opinion, it's all going to ride on whether or not the other two members of Lethal Poison get involved in the match. If they do not, then I'm going with Ashton Starr. However, if they do show up and they get involved, then I got to give the edge to Corey Hollis there. But the thing is, again, depending on the match layout, I'm pretty sure the tag title match, which will involve the other two members of Lethal Poison, Brady Pierce, Michael Judas, will take place before that SHW title match. So will they be worn out? Will they have anything left to get involved in the title match?
I think those guys will always have something in the tank because, I mean, look at them. They're huge. And just standing there is intimidating enough to, kind of throw you off your game if you're not really focused. So,
So let's get into that match, that tag title match. It's going to be Michael Judas, Brady Pierce, 2/3 of Lethal Poison, taking on Matt and Joey Lynch, the tag team champs.
Right.
What do we think? Who you got?
Diana, what do you think?
Okay. To me, Lethal Poison, when they come in there, I don't see a whole lot of tag team dynamic.
Okay.
Kind of, working together, doing a regular match. They just go in there, dominate, beat somebody up, and then game over. With Lynch, it's like, rock and roll.
They've been a tag team their entire lives.
Yeah, it's like rock and roll. It's like they go together. Like everything works.
Yeah,
it's well oiled. So I'm gonna go with Lynch.
Yeah,
okay. Lynch Mob.
I would say this: the Lynch Mob is going to have to be able to withstand the initial onslaught of this tag team, because the thing about Lethal Poison, like you said, they are super intimidating. But there's a part of me that's wondering, Brady Pierce has had a little bit of taste of AEW.
Right.
And he didn't bring his tag partner with him.
Right.
And there's parts of me that wonders, are they as cohesive as they were when they left?
Right.
The flip side to it is the Lynch Mob. You go back to that tag team title match they had when they won the titles. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And they proved that they can handle a lot of punishment. So I think that if the Lynch Mob can do what they've done and continue to be a constant force, I think they're going to outlast Lethal Poison. If not, now the flip side is this: if Lethal Poison can pull this out and get a quick win, I think they could win. But I have to go with the tag champs. I think they're going to do it.
I think Matt and Joey are so resilient, and like you said, in that tag match, the cage match where they won the titles, I mean that's a key right there to them being so resilient. And it's so crazy to think about this. This will be their first ever tag title defense in 6 months.
Yeah,
they won it back in, I guess, February, I think.
February, March, somewhere in there.
So, and then March they had a 6-man tag.
That's right.
But they were already the champs. So it's just crazy to think 6 months later they're having their first title defense. Right. And for that reason, they're not going to defend the titles the very first time and lose it, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I don't think the Lynch Mob would let that happen. But like you said, these guys are monsters. However, Gerard,
they got to prove themselves, I believe.
Yeah, and like you said, Gerard, Brady Pierce, though, having that little taste of AEW. And if you notice on AEW, he's got the gold boots. He's he's doing more of the pretty boy kind of look, the big smile.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily that monster that we're used to seeing with Michael Judas as part of Lethal Poison. So are they on the same page?
Well, and let's throw one other thing. Corey Hollis has also been on AEW as well. Right. So the only person in Lethal Poison that's not been there is Michael Judas.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, you guys got invited to the prom and not me? Why am I not good enough to go? So, I mean, they may not be thinking that, but then again, maybe they are. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. And I don't know.
Well, there you go. So that's the tag title match. And then, of course, the other match before we get to the big RumbleJack is that singles match, which, like we said, originally was going to be Lee Johnson, AC Mack. Lee, however, cannot make it. So now it's going to be AC Mack versus a gentleman who is huge on the indies, highly decorated, and a lot of people know him, especially around the Southeast and especially Georgia. Talking about Chip Day. So that same stipulation still applies. that the winner gets to enter the RumbleJack last.
Mm.
The loser of this match has to enter the RumbleJack first. So AC Mack, Chip Day. It's kind of a last-minute swerve here that we weren't expecting. But what do you guys think, Diana?
Not knowing a whole lot about Chip Day, and that's only my fault because I haven't had the opportunity to work with him, or I mean I hear a lot about him, so that tells you something that people are talking about him, right? So he's somebody. But just not knowing a whole lot, I can't really give you a good answer. I can say that I probably shouldn't say this, but Matt gives me such hell.
You're not the only one. You're not the only one.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm not trying to step on his toes and announce him, but I think I sound better. I mean, I'm just going to say it. AC, I sound better. So anyway, but you know, he's lots of fun. So I'm going to say, just because I think I have a little beef with AC, that I want to see Chip take it.
Okay.
You know, Chip Day is certainly a legend in Southeast wrestling and certainly around Atlanta. And, you know, the thing about a lot of our SHW superstars is they do also frequent some other territories. So
Right.
I know the two have at some point crossed paths. I think where this becomes different is there was obviously a connection between AC Mack and Lee Johnson. They both were part of the new era. And if you look at last year's RumbleJack event, they started the event in the ring together.
Right.
And so there was certainly some animosity, but you know, you think about it this way, fighting your family is different than fighting a stranger.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, with family, AC may have had a more emotion involved in getting into that match, but now it's pure competition, and it could be like this. AC has not had an opportunity to become champion. And so for a guy like Chip Day, who is not a regular part of Southern Honor, to come in, AC may get a little territorial here. And it could spawn him to victory. And can you imagine dealing with an AC Mack who is last in the RumbleJack? I don't know if I want to deal with that.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, it's weird. I'm probably going to put my money on AC Mack, if for nothing else. Then I think he wants to defend. Well, I was going to say he wants to defend Southern Honor, but truth be told, he's more interested in getting his shot at the SHW championship than he is defending Southern Honor.
He has it. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not happy about not being champion.
No.
So yeah.
You know, when it was still going to be Lee Johnson, I felt like, you know, AC holds such a grudge typically.
Yes.
And so there was that, and we all know this, but the thing is, so there was that beef between him and Lee Johnson stemming back in the new era when Lee, actually AC Mack blamed Lee for Lee losing the title in that War Games match last, whenever that was, October, at the anniversary show. So Mack, you know, blamed Lee for that loss, and subsequently he kicked him out of the new era. And so there was definitely that beef there that never really fully got resolved. And we were going to see that up until just this past week. The other thing too is that Mack has had, because that match was announced, you know, a month ago, maybe a little longer. So Mack had all this time to prepare for Lee Johnson. Now I know we still have a week. We're still a week away, but it's a lot shorter notice that he's going to have to face Chip Day. So I might kind of give the edge there maybe to Chip Day, because Mack, you know, he had Lee on his mind and he was all prepared for Lee. And now all of a sudden that swerve came in and he's having to take on Chip Day. And now Chip Day is just a badass. We're all aware of this. And so I might kind of give the edge there to Chip Day. I don't know. So we'll see, but it's going to be interesting because like we said, whoever wins enters last, whoever loses has to enter first. Now, either one of those gentlemen, I feel like could be the Iron Man and start at number one and go the whole way.
Oh,
absolutely.
Real. Yeah,
But
definitely.
We'll see. So that
No
brings
doubt.
us to the actual RumbleJack match itself. And as we mentioned earlier, Diana, the names that were actually introduced this week as entrants are Jordan Air Kingsley, who's one half of Not Yet Rated and a member of the Honor Society.
Right.
You got the Savior, David Ali, has been announced. And then a gentleman we talked about a little while ago, Brady Pierce, has been announced.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go through the list that we know of so far. Sean Dean, Gunnar Miller, Ben Buchanan making his debut, Logan Creed, former champ, Fearless Musa making his debut, Joey Lynch, half of the tag champs, Tyler Colpret, which, by the way, I've been saying culprit, but I've been corrected. It's Tyler Colpret. So
Gotcha.
got to get that right because I don't want any kind of confrontation with him
Right.
at the show.
No.
The Real Mean Girl, Danny Jordan, a gentleman we had on the show last week, William Huckabee. Of course, the killer weight, Joe Black.
Yes.
And then, like we said before, AC Mack and Chip Day will be in there somewhere, either number one or the final entrance. So, and there's still a few more to be announced that we don't know about yet. But of the ones I've mentioned, do any of those stand out to you as somebody that you think could take the whole thing?
Then why not Joe Black? Why not?
I think the SHW crowd would agree with you wholeheartedly because they have been wanting to see him in the title picture for quite some time. And I'm not going to lie, I would kind of like to see that as well. So
to me, he's like the quiet storm. He brews, you know, and then he explodes when it's time. And he's been working.
Yeah.
I watch his videos. I check his post out, and he's been working. And I think it's his time.
Yeah. You're right. Joe Black has put in a lot of work. And if you think about it, he was supposed to have an opportunity last year in the RumbleJack, and that was taken away from him courtesy of William Huckabee. And so I think he's a favorite. But there's another name you mentioned that I said, that'd be Gunnar Miller. Gunnar Miller has been undefeated since making his debut in SHW. When I think about what was supposed to happen with the SCI and the idea of those two perhaps clashing. And, Joe Black said he was going to be the first guy in, but then Gunnar Miller gets in. And I'm thinking to myself, these two guys have a real opportunity. And I don't know if they've really crossed paths before, but my thought right now is at some point, those two are going to go head to head. If they end up in there and talk about fireworks. Oh my Lord.
That's a main event match right there.
It is a main event match.
Any day of the week.
Yeah. We're guaranteed of a couple of things. We're guaranteed we're going to get a new winner since, I'm saying guaranteed, but I could be wrong because should Corey Hollis lose the SHW championship, he could make his way in and become a two-time winner, which would be
I got to tell you, like I said earlier, when in that match against Ashton where he won the belt back, do you remember how deflated that whole arena was that night?
I'll never forget it.
If he shows up, if he loses to Ashton in their singles match for the title and then shows up in the RumbleJack and ends up winning it again this year in controversial fashion or just wins it, period, can you imagine how deflated the arena's going to be once again? So I'm not saying because, we're supposed to remain unbiased here, Gerard, as the commentary team.
Sure.
However, I got to say, man, I will probably be just as deflated as the audience if that were to happen.
He was so quiet when he won that back. It was like, what happened?
Right.
What just happened? Surely there was a mistake.
Everybody was stunned. We couldn't we were like, wait, this isn't real.
I was sitting there at the table and I'm just like, what do I do? Do I announce this? That he
right.
Do I have to announce that
do we have another winner? Like another new? It's not new. He just had it. So, I mean, like 30 minutes ago, I mean, I didn't know what to do. I was just like, what do I do?
So here's somebody, a former SHW champion and somebody that actually some will say is the true winner from last year, and that's Logan Creed. Now, if you remember, the way it ended last year was it was in controversial fashion. All of the prior eliminations came back out to the ring to act as lumberjacks for the final two, which was Corey Hollis and Logan Creed. Or actually, Corey Hollis showed up because he had run to the back, so he showed up a little while later. We thought Ashton and Logan were going to be the final two, but what ended up happening, Corey got eliminated by Logan over the top rope, but the refs were distracted on the outside by the other guys around the ring. So he jumps back in the ring as if nothing happened. He ended up using that arm brace, I believe it was, and he clocked Logan with it, and then ended up winning the match. So it was very controversial. Some say Logan is the true winner of the match, but it goes down in the record books as Corey Hollis won that match. So We don't know. Logan is in it again this year. So
Well, and we can't count Logan out. Again, a former SHW champion, another one who has never gotten an actual real opportunity to. Well, actually, he did kind of get it. No, he didn't actually. It was a kind of a street fight that he defended against Corey Hollis when he lost the championship, and he never got a rematch. And so, to see him get the opportunity to perhaps rightfully win this and get another shot at the title. And then let's talk about this. Before we went to pandemic, there was a lot of teasers going around about a possible match between Logan Creed and Gunnar Miller.
Right.
They never got face to face. It could happen during the RumbleJack.
I expect it to. I mean, they're both their egos.
That's what's exciting about a type of match like the RumbleJack is you're going to see people squaring off that we haven't been able to see yet, or people squaring off that we never thought we would see square off. So there's so many different possibilities that I'm excited to see, man. It's going to be awesome.
I'm excited to see what Danny does.
You're reading my mind because my dark horse in this is Danny Jordan.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, right? But we have gone through, of course, the speaking out movement. We have gone through now, we've got another female vice presidential candidate. We have seen some unique things happening in the wrestling world. Tessa Blanchard winning the Impact Men's World Championship. It is not a far-fetched option that Danny Jordan walks out of the RumbleJack as the #1 contender and gets a shot at the title. She was the first woman in a RumbleJack last year. She has no problem slapping a man.
None.
Eliminated.
I know. I'm aware. I'm aware.
Eliminated the legendary Robert Gibson last year. Anything is possible, and I wouldn't throw it away that Danny Jordan could actually walk out as the winner of the RumbleJack.
Yeah.
She actually went toe-to-toe briefly with Logan Creed, which was crazy dynamic to look at in the ring with how much of a giant he is. And she now the real mean girl used to go by the short fuse because she's a lot shorter. And so Logan Creed, Danny J. It was just a very odd dynamic.
She has no fear. She will step to anybody. So, I'm definitely not counting her out.
And think about the shock waves that it would send through the independent wrestling world for Danny Jordan to win the RumbleJack and get a shot at the SHW championship. I
got front row tickets for that match.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. And she could win it.
Yeah, she
could win it.
And this is somebody who this is somebody too who we talked about some of these other guys appearing for AEW. Now she's appeared with AEW a few times. She appeared with NWA back earlier in the year. So I mean, she's got some national notoriety. So that would be a match that would get a lot of people's attention if she were to win this and then go on to face somebody for the SHW championship. And I'm gonna do a throwback here, but that's just like JP from Angels in the Outfield would say, hey, it could happen.
It
could absolutely happen. And Danny Jordan, I think people will overlook her, but the reality of it is there's no women's championship as of yet for her to compete for. She's not just in the ring to be in the ring. She is fighting for something. And I think the opportunity to have Danny Jordan as the SHW champion is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
It's just there's so much. We say this all the time about SHW is that the roster is just so stacked. And you say whatever you want about other independent promotions, but SHW, maybe we're homers and we're a little biased, but we have the best roster out there, in my opinion. And everybody, that's the thing. You look at this whole list of people in this match, it could be anybody. Any of these guys could do it, or a girl. Guys or girl, because like you said, Danny J was in it. Now last year, we still haven't heard all the entrants, but last year, even Ravenna Vane showed up as an entrant in the RumbleJack. So you just never know. But I'm telling you, it could just be anybody on this list. I mean, Jordan Kingsley was announced this week. He is somebody who could be a dark horse that I think
could be.
David Ali is somebody that the crowd has been it's almost like the crowd's trying to turn him into a good guy, and he's it's like
he's not having it.
It's like when the NWO first started, and all of a sudden the bad guys were the cool guys, and so the crowd was behind him. And it's kind of the same thing here with like the crowd booing him and all this, but now the crowd's starting to kind of cheer him a little bit.
Yeah.
So anyways, you just never know, but he's one that I think the crowd would like to see win it. And he very well could. I mean, Brady Pierce, we talked about him.
Yeah.
If his head's in it, then I think he could do it. But
and think about how this could go. Can you imagine if Lethal Poison wins a tag team championships and then he gets in and he wins the RumbleJack and gets a shot at the SHW championship, and God forbid,
if Corey still has it.
If Corey still has it, you have a Lethal Poison battle. It's pretty crazy.
So you remember last year, if you go back and watch, and of course you can watch all of our stuff on IWTV, but if you go back and watch last year's match, AC Mack joined us on commentary during the match as he was the champ at the time, and his whole plan was that he wanted the New Era to just dominate the match. Yeah. And so he said that they had a plan that if a member of New Era won it, then that meant that I guess they would have to face each other, but he was still going to hold on to the title. Right. So with Corey Hollis, if he still has the belt, would he have a plan with Brady Pierce? And I don't know if Michael Judas ends up in the match or not. We haven't heard. Yeah. But would he have a plan where if one of them win it, then Corey would maybe still hold on to the belt? Or would they go, you know what? Now that I won this opportunity, I'm actually going to fight him for it. We don't know.
It would be interesting to see. It'd be
I think if it was me, it would be very hard to not do everything I could.
Exactly. So, absolutely. All right. Well, we're wrapping things up here. Do we have a one single pick that you just want to try to call it right now? Do you have a particular pick?
Out of all of that,
I know it's tough.
I'm gonna stick with Joe Black. I'm gonna stick with Joe Black.
Okay. What about you, GB?
I'm struggling on this one because, I mean, there's a sentimental favorite to me in Joe Black. Yeah. But there's a few other elements in there. And let's remember Huckabee's in there too. What great revenge from the dog collar match for Huckabee to cost Joe Black a shot at the title.
Again.
Yeah.
Like I think it could happen. And so I'm gonna go with Gunnar Miller.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna go with Gunnar Miller. I think Gunnar Miller, of all of the people involved right now, has the potential to have the best focus. He doesn't have a lot of wars with other people going on that he's really interested in. Sure, he'd like the match with Logan Creed, but he only wants that to
Could you imagine him versus Logan Chase? I'm sorry.
It actually could be interesting. Amazing, actually. Let me not say that before he beats us up next week.
I'm gonna hear about that next week. I know.
I'm sure you are. But the thing is, he only wants Logan Creed as a path to the SHW championship. Winning this bypasses all of that. He doesn't need that match if he wins this. I think he has the laser focus and the least amount of distractions. And so, sentimental favorite, Joe Black, but I think Gunnar Miller is going to be hard to defeat in this one. I'm going to put my money on Gunnar Miller.
I can see it.
Yeah, that's a great pick. These are all great picks. And of course, you got dark horses here, like making their debuts. Ben Buchanan, Fearless Musa. Yeah, we've never even seen these guys before at SHW. I mean, I've seen them outside at other promotions, and I know that they are highly talented individuals. So who knows? But
and it's a realistic pick that somebody we have not seen.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with former champ Logan Creed. Like you said, he never got his rematch when he lost the title. And he and a lot of people would agree that he was the rightful winner of last year's RumbleJack, even though it doesn't go down in the history books. But so I think he'll be really wanting to get that match and win this match and then earn a title shot and go from there. So could be Logan Creed. I mean, it's so hard to pick, but there's one way to find out who it's going to be, and that's to join us. Exactly. That's to join us August 28th. Tickets on sale at the door the night of the show. And Diana Michel, our special guest this week, thank you for joining us and going through the matches and picking out some winners. And it's going to be exciting. We cannot wait to see you.
I can't wait. Hey, picture that Friday night.
Absolutely.
We do.
Absolutely.
I mean,
We
come
say
on.
it. We say it at every show. We got to get a group picture,
It
and then
has to happen.
and then it gets so busy, and we get
Mhm.
running around. But we will make it happen when we
It's
see
gonna happen.
August 28th. Thanks so much. Oh, by the
Oh,
way,
wait. Yep.
look
That
at
shirt.
this. I almost forgot. Look what I got. Boom.
Yes.
You got
And
face
the
masks too. Tell the fans
Yeah.
where they can buy some Diana Michel merch.
Man, hit me up on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Either way, just find me. I'm there.
There you
No,
go.
come to the show. Get them from the show. I'll have them there.
There you go.
Awesome.
Well, Diana, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
28. I can't wait. Love you guys.
Well, there you go. The lovely Diana Michel, our beautiful ring announcer for SHW. She is super excited about next week. We're super excited about next week. And GB, like we said, we're going to be live next week.
That's right. Don't miss next week's podcast because it is the live pre-show from the Action Building, our first time together in about 5 months. It's going to be crazy as we get you ready for the RumbleJack. No telling what's going to happen, but we're going to be there. You don't want to miss. It's going to be live right here on Facebook next Friday evening. Several of you, I imagine, will be at the Action Building getting your tickets. If you're not, of course, you can check us out here. If you are there, come interrupt us. Say hi to us.
Jump
Or
in the
check us out.
background.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be there, so we're really looking forward to it. It's going down next week. It should be great. Hey, there's one thing we have to mention, a correction from last week's show. Last week, we had on William Huckabee, and he had a lot to say. Particularly, there was a spot in there where he talked about his pro wrestling tee store, and I had a lot to say about it. And then I decided today, let's go search pro wrestling tees to see if they actually took Huckabee's shirt off. And I went and did a search. We both did. We searched for Huckabee, and what comes up but his t-shirt. So I don't know that Pro Wrestling Tees actually canceled Huckabee, as his shirt is still there, unless the flip side is maybe they heard our show last week and put the shirt back up. I don't know.
That could be the case. That could be the case. Or it could be, and Huck can come after me if he wants. It could be just the fact that Huck didn't know where to look on the site to see if his shirt was still there, because we looked and booyah.
It's there right now.
It's right there.
If you type in Huckabee under the search engine, you'll find the shirt. So I just wanted to put that out there as a correction. Huck, don't come after us. You can go search for it yourself. And
yeah, I did feel kind of bad because I'm always plugging pro wrestling tees, and then after last week, I was like, "Oh man, did they screw over Huckabee? Like, should we keep?"
I was
him?
full ready on the boycott train, but
and then we looked it up, and I'm like, "Well, no, it's right there. What is he talking about?" So, again, I don't know. Anyways, it's there. Check it out. A lot of other SHW talent have their shirts on Pro Wrestling Tees, so you can search for your favorite SHW star and find their merch and support them. Buy their merch. And a lot of them may actually have merch at the show next week, August 28th. Like we said, tickets available at the door the night of the show. Get there early. When you come in, we'll be doing the live show. Come say hello, jump around in the background. What is it? Is it the Today Show where they're out in the plaza and people with signs?
Yeah, the Today Show, Good Morning America, all those shows they've got. And I'll say this, and I'll just say this. Come prepared to support. I think this is important. It's our first match and first event back, and the wrestlers would love your support, whether it is buying merch or, saying hi to them or having big signs or whatever. Like, just come fully prepared to support. It's going to be an incredible night, and I just think it's going to be amazing. So just be prepared. Bring your energy. It's going to be nuts next week.
And if you happen to have anti-David Ali signs, put it on really thick cardboard that's hard to tear, because I love it when there's certain fans of ours that bring the thick cardboard, and when he goes to tear it up, it's difficult, and it just cracks me up when that happens.
Yeah,
so,
it's quite hilarious.
Anyways, but you didn't hear that from me. But anyways, that's going to do it for us. We're going to be live as live can be next week. Right here on the Facebook page. So check us out. Until then, this has been SHW.
This is our wrestling.
Boom.